Hello, my name is Brianna, Kaleen, and welcome to my YouTube channel. Today we have a special guest. Drum roll, please. If you didn't do the drum roll, you're fake. Our special guest is Caleb Mathura.
Hi.
Okay, me and Caleb met when did we first meet?
Well, we technically met at Timberlake Playhouse.
Cut it out. You're right. Okay.
But then we actually met again through social media, and then I sang with you at your 54 Below concert, and that was the first time we actually talked.
Wild ride. We met on a FaceTime, then followed each other on social media, and then years later, this was what, 3 years later?
This was like this November, so not even a year ago.
We officially met. I reached out to him being like, yo, I know we've never really hung out, but would you like to be in my 54 Below show? He was like, yeah. And then we met for the first time in person at the rehearsal for that. And then got to do both of our 54 Below debuts together, singing All I've Ever Known in my solo show.
And it was literally perfect because I remember stressing about I really want to do 54 Below, and I wasn't getting any requests to do anything for a year, and then it happened so perfectly because there's literally no one else I would rather have had that 54 debut with. It was awesome.
So today's topic is pros and cons of musical theater school. For anybody who's been to musical theater college, you know there are some ups and there are some downs to going. And so I decided to go through every single musical theater college with someone who's been to said college to tell us the pros and cons. And today we have Caleb. Tell us what school you went to, what you majored in, and what year you graduated.
Yeah, so I went to Point Park University in Pittsburgh, and I graduated in 2022 with a BFA in musical theater and a minor in dance.
How weird is it to have a degree? I never think about having a degree. Do you?
No, I honestly don't. I feel like I don't even have a degree sometimes.
Yeah, same. I'm back home right now, and I found my degree just sitting in a closet, and I was like, oh yeah, I do have that.
I don't even know where my physical degree is. I don't know if I got one. I don't know.
Right. Are you still pursuing musical theater?
Yes. I'm currently living in New York City as an actor in musical theater.
How's that going?
It's an emotional roller coaster. I feel like there's a lot of highs and there's a lot of lows, but I can't see myself doing anything else, and I think I would be a lot more unhappy if I was doing anything else, and I think that I prefer the highs and lows than just mid 24/7 life every single day is the same, So it keeps life interesting, and I think that that's what life is all about. Sometimes.
Yeah. What projects have you worked on since moving to New York, or before New York, before college, during college? What have you done?
Yeah, so after I graduated, I did the Pre-Broadway tryout of Come Fall in Love, which took me into going on tour. I was on the Mean Girls tour. And then after that, I moved to New York about a year ago. And since I moved to New York, I shot my first movie. I had a small role, but it was my first time being on a feature film set. And I just closed an Off-Broadway show called David here in New York this summer.
Would you say that college prepared you enough for stepping into the theater world? Do you think so?
I don't think so, honestly, because I feel like a lot of the things that I'm using and a lot of the things that have helped me build my career are from the dance program and not the theater program. I feel like 90% of my work on stage is built from learning on the job and not something that a technical formulaic education, I don't even know if that's a word, but can teach you in school. And I honestly get frustrated about it sometimes. I wish they would have taught us this in theater school or talked more about the business. I feel like 99% of this industry is business. It's not about talent. It's much more about networking, who you know, what's going on. And I didn't really realize that. And I think that now being in the industry, I realized that a lot of times, as awful as it is, it's not always about your work ethic, how talented you are, how smart you are, how kind you are. It's about a lot of other things. And in theater, it's kind of just like you're gonna train and then be great and then have a whole career. Like, it's a lot about just living in New York, how to provide for yourself, how to take care of yourself, so you can just be here in order to audition, not even have a job, you know.
Right.
And I feel like my theater program, and a lot of theater programs probably are the same, because you can't really teach how to be an actor in New York. You can teach technique, but you can't teach like sustainability. You can't teach performance, like with 3,000 people watching you. Like, there's things that you just have to learn as you go. And I will also say some of the most successful people from my program left. They didn't graduate. And I know that's the same with a lot of other programs too. So it's a lot about what you need. But looking back and looking at the price tag attached to a college education, for theater with this industry, it's risky. It is risky.
How dance specifically prepared you more than the musical theater program at Point Park? Can you expand on that a little bit?
Yeah, so Point Park offers a minor in dance, which is basically where you enter the program as a dance major your junior year, but with the freshman dance major class, and your last 2 years are spent taking a lot of the freshman dance major classes. And I've always been a singer first, and I've always wanted to really strengthen my dance skills, and it was a reason why I chose to go to Point Park. And the way it helped me, well, first and foremost, it introduced me to like my favorite educator, mentor in the world, Keisha Lalama. She's a beast, and I love her so much. She was like my second mom at school, and she was one of the only faculty members to like take me aside and say, I believe in you. I think you have something special, but you're dimming your own light for other people's comfort. And no one else had ever said that to me before. And she was so right. I had jazz with her my junior year. She was the first person to really make me feel like I was worthy of entering this industry as someone who can like trust themselves and has the skills to be someone. And that was someone I would not have met without the dance program. But in terms of specifically dance, my first job out of school was only dancing. I was an ensemble member in Come Fall in Love at the Oak Globe, and it was amazing. But like, I didn't have a single line. Like, I had gotten that job because of the dance ability I had acquired at school, and from that job, it ended up in me booking Mean Girls because there was some of the same creative team, and there was like an immediate need for a replacement. And in Mean Girls, I did not sing one line. I was Kevin G, so I just rapped and I danced and I had to act. And without that dance training, I know for a fact I would not have had that job, because they didn't even hear me sing for any of the auditions. Like, it wasn't a requirement. So without the skills I acquired as a dancer in the dance program at Point Park, I know I would not have had the career that I've had. So I attribute that like 99% to the dance program at Point Park.
That's something they also rarely teach you in college, is like, more than anything, your personality is important, as probably more important than your talent, because that's what people are going to bring you back for. Because there's a lot of talented people in this industry, but how many kind people are there? How many prepared people are there? Like, that's important too, you know?
Yeah. And it really only takes one person to be like, yep, give him the job. And it only takes one person to be like, nah, I don't want to work with him.
What skill set did you learn in musical theater school, and have you used them?
Yeah, I feel like something about theater specifically, not necessarily theater school, but just theater in general, teaches you a lot about adaptability, teamwork, work ethic, self-discipline, and just sustainability, and also like being your own business. I don't necessarily think that you learn those things at school, but I think being an artist of any kind teaches you those things, and it's something that you can use in basically any career field.
What do you wish you had learned at school that would have prepared you for the theater industry?
Yeah, I wish I learned more about taking care of yourself financially, emotionally, physically in New York. It's expensive, and it's possible to live here, but it takes a knowledge that you don't learn at school about where to look for apartments, subletting, how to do those kinds of things that save you a lot of money, what jobs are going to be best for actors, which in my experience has been like catering, restaurant service jobs, things that work at night. How to do your taxes. I think all schools should talk about that. Just things that have to do with life. And because, like I was saying before, 90% of this is not musical theater technique. It's about so many other things that are going to just get you into a room to audition before you even get the job, you know? So I wish they talked more about the living here and also agents, how to decide which agency is going to be best for you, if you should take an agent or a manager, and not just be like, yes, I'll take anyone who comes to me, because you're the one in charge. You need to know who's going to represent me to the best of their ability and not just who's going to have me as another name on the roster, you know? And I also feel like with theater school, it kind of creates a mindset that it's okay to like be desperate for a job and like take anything that you can get. Like, no, you should have standards for yourself, and you deserve to be respected and treated well. And I think there's a time and a place for like doing non-union work, but you deserve to be protected by a union, and you should plan on eventually joining a union to make sure you are protected. Things like that, where they just don't really talk about it.
Almost like what I'm hearing you say is you wish they had prepared you for everything that happens before you ever get to an audition room. Like what it looks like to live in New York City, one of the hardest cities and most expensive cities to live in, as an artist, how to do that so that you can then start pursuing your dreams in the first place, getting into an audition room, booking the job. And then once you've gotten your footing on surviving and living in New York as a human, just preparing you for the business side of things of joining a union and having an agent and all of those things as well, is what you're saying.
Yeah. And another thing is just I think that I had the mindset after I got my first big job that, okay, it's only up from here. But it's not like that. And no one ever talks about that. Like, you can have a huge, amazing job. And then, I mean, within like 7 days, we had like this huge closing party. And then 6 days later, I was like catering again. And then I didn't work for like 6 months, like anything. And like, I was not prepared for that. I thought that it was going to be like only like success from here. And it's just not like that. And that's just a reality of the business, that you don't ever like work your way up. You work and then fall, and then work and then fall.
You're right. No one ever talks about that.
Yeah.
It's always just like, at least in my college, it was always like, this is how you get into an audition room. This is what you do once you're in there. This is how you prepare once you book the job. But it was never like, what do you do after the job's over? And you don't have a job and you're once again auditioning. I guess that's what they always say. The job of theater isn't doing the show, it's auditioning.
Yeah.
But even in that, it doesn't fully articulate what that means. Like they say, it's not, I honestly feel like you can't even say that phrase, like the job is auditioning, because you don't get paid to audition.
No.
So it's like, it's not even a job. I would say like the work is auditioning, but more so the job is like your side hustle, I guess.
I got my agents through a separate program. I did my senior showcase and I did not get a single offer. But a few months before that, I had done another showcase where I was allowed to sing like what I wanted to. And I got signed with like one of my top agencies. And I did not get a single offer from the school showcase, where they tried to like brand me for what they think the industry wants to see me as, like. And I remember they wouldn't even let me sing the song that got me my agent as an option for showcase. And I was like, wow, I already got an agent with this song and you won't even let me like use it. You won't even hear me sing it.
It's like colleges feel like their way of teaching is the end all be all.
Yeah.
And like it's the only way to be successful in the industry is to follow their educational guidelines and their like choices and all that stuff. And then like you're just saying, you got your agent doing what they didn't want you to do.
Yeah.
So it's like, I think that's a thing, it's a misconception, is like college is the end all be all to pursue musical theater. And it's like, that is the complete opposite.
Yeah.
I mean, like, we know so many people who didn't go to college or dropped out of college and are now successful in doing theater. And we know people who were in college and don't even use most of their the things that they learned in college and are successful. And then you have people who went to college and use their college education and are successful. So it's like there's multiple ways to do this industry. But I think because most people outside of this industry, if you're doing like business or you're studying to be a doctor, a lawyer, communicator, like it's always like you go to college and then. But it's like because that is a standard outside of this industry, we take that and bring it into this industry as like seniors in high school who don't know what we're doing. We're like, yeah, the next step is college. And it's like, not necessarily. Like there are other options.
Yeah.
So
I think it's always about training, but you don't have to go to school to train. You can take dance classes at BDC, you can take voice lessons in the city, you can take like on-camera acting classes in the city, you know, and you're not paying the tens of thousands of dollars for like room and board and meal plans. Like you are living in the city, but you can still like there's ways to do it. It's always just about training.
and it's like even after college, that doesn't stop. Like
You're always training.
Always evolving, always going, always getting better, always taking lessons. So it's like you kind of have to decide what's better for you to be in a classroom setting or to be in a one-on-one setting when it comes to the learning you want to do.
Yeah. And one thing I wish I did like during college auditions is I would like reach out to current students. If I could go back, I would reach out to alumni because I feel like when you talk to current students, they could get in trouble for being like, hey, this program's low-key toxic, like don't do it. But if you talk to alumni, they're like, I'll give you the tea because I'm out. Like, you know what I mean? And I would not change the way like life has gone. I would not change a single thing. Everything has happened the way it was supposed to. So I don't want to say that I would go back and do it this way or not go to this school because at the end of the day, I'm grateful for what had happened because of the school I went to and the things that occurred through the people I met there. But I can't say that I'm necessarily grateful for like the program itself. It's more from like what was planted while I was there and what grew from that, I guess, if that makes sense. So I'm grateful that it happened still. But there's still like a lot of room for improvement, I think. Across the board, like musical theater school nationwide.
What are 2 pros that you have of going to musical theater school?
One major pro is I think that pursuing an education in theater in a standard setting teaches you a lot about self-discipline and consistency because you have to wake up early. We had 8 a.m. ballet in the morning, 5 days a week, freshman year, like every single day. You got to wake up early. You're also using your vocal cords and your muscles every single day. So it's helping your body adjust to what it feels like to do this every single day. And I think that it is hard without that like academic calendar to like just really get up and do it every single day by yourself. So I think that does help kind of build it into your routine and get you ready for the point in your life where you can completely do it by yourself without like a teacher being like, hey, you got to be in class, you know? And I also think that it gives you a social circle. I met some of my best friends at school. We had a guest director who ended up being the associate director for Come Fall in Love. So it helps with just networking with people outside of the industry if the program prioritizes that. And just being able to move to the city and like have friends, that's so important. It can get lonely at times and you just like your friends become your family here, you know? And I got those people from my program, you know?
What would you say are 2 cons to going to musical theater school?
I think that for me personally, one of the cons was I felt like it got to the point where the theater program was holding me back and I was ready to go and they weren't letting me go to auditions or callbacks and I was having to finagle my own. I remember one time I had to miss like an audition for a Broadway show because we had a mock audition for school and I was like, you're gonna make me miss an actual Broadway audition so I can do a fake audition for a grade. And another con is I feel like it puts an academic formula to creativity and being an artist. And I feel, again, that holds you back. And I think my best work was when I wasn't like thinking about all the technical things about like, what do I need to do to like get a grade or have the teacher like me more? Like just singing what I want to sing, not not worrying about the logistics of everything, because at the end of the day, like being an artist is so much about like the soul and showing that, and not about like hitting these points and looking here and like I feel like it got robotic sometimes. Like the training.
Yeah. And it almost puts like you were saying, a formula to artistry, which is like the complete opposite of what you want to do. Like you want to have guidelines to help you become a better artist,
Yeah.
technique, but
Yeah.
then it becomes, like you said, a formula of like, I get an assignment, I have to do it a certain way to please this teacher to get a good grade to graduate. So it's like, then you're in the confines of whatever that is. And most of the times, at least at my school, professors didn't have a broad view of what artistry could look like. It was very much like, you're gonna be like who we saw on Broadway when we were in the industry 20 years ago. Like that was kind of the vibe. So it was like, okay, my singing assignment is gonna look like what they want it to look like, which is this formula of what Broadway used to look like and what they feel like it should be, instead of, this is who I am, this is what Broadway is. How can I mold the two with the technique that they've taught me to become the artist that I want to be in this world? If you could go back to young Caleb, what advice would you tell him?
I would tell him, and I'm still telling myself now, don't take life so seriously. Enjoy life. There's always things to be grateful for, no matter where you are at personally in your career. Just being able to like live and have our mobility is a gift that some people don't have. Just being able to pursue theater is a gift some people just don't have. There's so much that I feel like it's so easy to get caught up in the negativity and, oh, I wish I had this, or I wish I did that, I wish I was at that point. That just doesn't matter. Like at the end of the day, if you're like living and breathing and able to do something that makes you happy, like you're winning, you know? And I have to remind myself of that like every day. And I fully wish I could remind myself that like five years ago too. And another thing I wish I could tell my younger self is just to trust that you're exactly where you need to be, even when you're at your lowest points. Like that's always preparing you for something more, and not to compare yourself. Comparison is the thief of joy, you know?
I mean, if I could actually do those things,
Yeah.
I'd
The
be good, you
implementation
know?
is different. Yeah.
Yeah. Very good things to keep in mind. Well, thank you so much, Caleb,
Yeah,
for
thank you.
coming and being a part of this episode and giving your time freely. You are literally one of the most kind and angelic people I have ever met. You're just
Oh,
so
you're so sweet.
supportive, no matter what. You're always like willing to show that support through action, which is rare. Most people are just like, yeah, go, 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 and then they won't help. But you are a
Free
helper and
is
a great friend.
everything. I don't do it for everybody. I do it for the people who I know that they would do it for me. So I return all that to you as well.
Thank you.